Welcome to Australia. Australia is the sixth largest country, measuring 7,692,24 kilometers, and is slightly smaller than the United States. Australia makes up most of its continent and is surrounded by water, and is often referred to as an island continent. Today we will examine the pestle model: political, economic, social, cultural, technological, environmental, and legal components of Australia. Political. Australia is a constitutional monarchy, unlike the United States, who operates as a republic political system. Australia's bicameral system is divided between the Commonwealth and state and territory governments. The head of government is the Prime Minister, and the head of state is the Governor General, chosen by the Prime Minister. Australia and the United States have a lot of similarities in their political system. Like they both have federal systems, both have parliaments composed of two houses, the Senate and the House of Representatives, and a constitution that delegates power to the federal government. Australia and the United States of America political status is free, with a freedom rating of 1. Australia has seen an increase in its political stability, while the United States' stability has remained constant. Corruption is not an obstacle to business in Australia, which is known for its well-functioning and independent judiciary, transparent regulatory climate, and overall low levels of corruption. The Attorney General, as commentators disagree on what is an abuse of the political system.
Economics. Australia is one of the Asia-Pacific's wealthiest nations and has enjoyed more than 2 decades of economic expansion. In 2016, Australia ranked 5th in the economic freedom with a score of 80.3. Australia continues to be an attractive and dynamic investment destination, with almost all industries open to foreign competition and a skilled workforce readily available. Australia emerged from the 2009 global recession relatively unscathed, but stimulus spending by the previous Labor government generated a fiscal deficit. Australia is one of the largest capitalist economies of the world in recent years, with a GDP of 1.57 trillion US dollars. Its total wealth is $6.4 trillion, about 1.7% of the world economy. Australia is ending 2016 with celebrating 25 years without a recession, which is really impressive. Here's a video that will give you some insight on how Australia has remained recession-free for 25 years.
If you're under 25 in Australia, you've never experienced a recession. The country just released data showing its economy hasn't experienced 2 straight quarters of negative growth since 1991. 25 years without a recession is pretty incredible. Within that time frame, Europe's been battling its worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, and the US had 2 to 3 economic downturns during that same time period, including the Great Recession. Australia has China's economy to thank. The Asian country has, until recently, drawn very heavily on Australia's natural resources. Australia's mining industry may be hurting now, but booms in the housing construction industry have picked up the slack to help the economy grow. Government investing, like defense spending, has also been a reason for the country's recent economic success. Australia's economy has grown for 100 straight quarters. If it continues to streak for one more year, it'll take the record from the Netherlands. For Newsy, I'm Ryan Beek.
As you can see from the video, Australia's economy has continued to boom. With high growth, low inflation, low interest rate economy, it is more vibrant than ever.
Australia is one of the world's largest destinations for foreign direct investing. With their skilled workforce, political stability, and resilient economy, it makes them a prime candidate for any business. In 2015, foreign investors contributed over $115 billion into the Australian economy. The graph shown below shows how the levels of inbound FDI and outbound FDI have increased significantly since 2001 and will continue to rise. The United States, Singapore, the United Kingdom, and Belgium are the top sources of FDI coming into Australia. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, the top industries in Australia that attract foreign investors are mining, service industries, manufacturing, finance, and insurance. Australia has a global advantage in their location, being able to trade with several different countries. Australia's top imports in 2015 were passenger motor vehicles, refined petroleum, telecom equipment and parts, crude petroleum, and computers. And their major exports in 2015 were iron ores and concentrates, coal, natural gas, gold, and beef. The top countries that Australia primarily trades with are China, Japan, United States, Korea, and Singapore. Australia imported more than $318 billion and exported nearly $329 billion. Social. Australia's rich culture and history have shaped the diversity of their citizens, cultures, and their way of life. Australia is one of the most diverse and modern societies in the world. Australia is ranked 18th, ahead of Canada, for the most immigrants per capita. Please watch the short video to get a closer look at the rich diversity of Australia.
We couldn't agree more. Hey, Sakura. Hey, Mustafa. So we're getting together over the ultimate cross-cultural protein to help put this right. We've got everyone in the room.
Well, technically, it's not a room.
Hey, let's not be spacists. Exactly. Hey, Dad. Shh. Sorry. We've got all the stands. We've got Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and this guy, Stan. People of color? I mean, who isn't? Oh, we've got our white whites, translucent whites, beige whites, red whites, and our dark whites who are darker than the light dark guys.
It's a thing.
All religions, faiths, and beliefs.
Can I talk to you about Jesus?
Yeah, sure.
He's talking the footy.
It's Jesus.
Jesus. Ooh, thank you. Oh, and of course, Jordan's here. She's Greek.
And proud.
Do you know what the best thing is about diversity? Everything. So let's stop talking about it and get together over the meat that doesn't discriminate. Right. Lamb's ready. So, who was here first?
That'll be us.
Right, you are.
Australia is home to many top universities that continue to produce world-class graduates. Australia was the 5th most popular destination for international students. Their primary and elementary schools are also exemplary with their high teacher-to-student ratio at 5 students per teacher, where it is 14 students per teacher in other educational systems in the OECD. This map shows that a majority of the population consider themselves non-religious, and many of the religions found in Australia are concentrated into several regions. The main religion found in Australia is Christianity, followed by Catholicism, traditional Aborigines, and the United Church. Technological.
Australia is known for adopting new technologies at a faster rate than most other countries in the world. For example, it entered the new millennium with one of the highest rates of internet access in the world. Scientists and researchers from Australia have been responsible for many major breakthroughs and technological developments around the world. In fact, Australia boasts 8 Nobel Prize recipients, which is not bad at all for a country with a population of only about 19 million. The growth of technology in Australia has had several important results. It has increased opportunities for innovation and design, helped various industries make improvements in their already existing establishments, and helped them to improve the quality of their goods. The technology growth has also helped to improve Australia's economy, as it is now one of the leading countries in the world for importing and exporting goods.
Environmental.
Australia is a large island continent and is one of the most biologically diverse countries in the world, with a large portion of its plants and animals and ecosystems found nowhere else. About 5% of Australia is national parks that provide excellent places from which to experience such diverse habitats as rainforests, deserts, coral reefs, and woodlands, and the plants and animals that inhabit them. Australia, like many regions of the world, has already begun to experience the impacts of global warming. In recent years, severe wildfires and drought have not only caused widespread damage to the land, but also negatively impacted tourism and the economy. Perhaps the most noteworthy effect global warming has had on Australia can be seen on the Great Barrier Reef, where coral bleaching threatens the world's most diverse ocean ecosystem.
Legal.
Australia scores nearly identical to the United States in all of the cultural dimensions except for internal versus external control, where Australia scores much lower. A country more focused on internal control, such as Australia, allows people to develop their skills and take control of their learning, sets clear objectives that people agree with, and is open about conflict and disagreement, allowing people to engage in constructive conflict. The 6 Australian states are former British colonies that joined together in 1901 to form a nation. At the time that the nation was forming, their legal system was developed. The system was largely based on the British legal system. As a consequence, Australia mirrored a number of elements from the British legal system, including the parliamentary system and the adversarial court system. An adversarial court system involves trial by jury and the principle of innocent until proven guilty. The foundation of their legal system is the Australian Constitution. The Constitution was developed by the people of Australia who voted for its implementation, and it sets out the original laws of the nation. These laws can only be changed by referendum. There are 2 other types of law in Australia, which are statutory law and common law. The Australian court system is hierarchical, and the High Court of Australia is the highest court in the country. The High Court of Australia deals with matters related to the Constitution and appeals from lower federal or state courts. Between 1 and 7 justices can sit on a case at the High Court, depending on the significance of the case. If more than 1 justice sits, the court is referred to as the full court of the High Court. The Federal Court of Australia has an appellate division and 2 divisions with original jurisdiction, which is the ability to hear cases in the first instance. The appellate division hears appeals from the divisions of the court with original jurisdiction and some appeals from state and territory courts where federal jurisdiction has been exercised. Cases in the appellate division of the federal court are heard by 3 judges. The 2 divisions of original jurisdiction in the federal court are the General Division, which primarily deals with bankruptcy and taxation cases, and the Industrial Division, which deals with federal industrial relations issues. The Family Court of Australia deals with divorce, child and spouse maintenance, and child custody cases. Many family court matters are settled through counseling and mediation services offered by the court. The full court of the Family Court deals with appeals, and 3 judges sit on the full court. Australia is one of the wealthiest in the world, with one of the world's strongest economies. The strengths of Australia are: Australia has a very strong and resilient economy. Australia is also said to have a strong economic policy where important policy shifts from the mid-1980s to the turn of the century. Australia shows a strong emphasis on reforms, low inflation, a housing market boom, and growing ties with China. Labor market reform results in low unemployment. Like any country, Australia has its weaknesses. Certain changes have been seen in duty rates, and mixed tariffs increase unpredictably. There are high tariffs in the automotive industry, and tariff rate quotas on agricultural products limit opportunities. There are many opportunities for improvement in Australia's economy. Australia is close to Asia, which encourages growth in aviation capacity. The Australian dollar is also likely to grow the economic value of tourism. The biggest economy threat for Australia, however, is China. The commodity boom has shown a sharp increase in demand, but there is a supply constraint in Australia. There is intensifying competition for the tourist dollar, and property prices are failing. Overall, Australia is doing well. They have largely avoided the global economic slowdown inflation is low, and the economy is growing.